Victory for MSU. What did we like from Friday's win over Central Michigan? What were we a little underwhelmed by? And then a whole lot of other random stuff. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. Spartan family, Spartan friends, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you so much for spending some of your Labor Day weekend with us here at Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white every single day. And when it's after a win, like we saw on Friday, these are happy episodes, very joyous episodes. So the format for a lot of these post-game episodes, I used to do something for the only colors called the good, the bad, the random. You could figure out how easy that is to follow. We're going to talk about the good things that have happened, the bad things that have happened, and then a whole lot of random stuff to get you on to the rest of your weekend. So let's kick it off with the good from Friday night, 31-7. All right, first and foremost, a win. And take it for what you want. Vegas had this spread at 14.5, usually a good indicator of how talented a team is over another one. Michigan State smashed it, which is what they're supposed to do against a MAC team. So I don't leave that game underwhelmed at all. Michigan State had one job: dismantle their in-state group of 5 opponent, and that's what they did. Now, was it all roses? No, and we're going to start with the guy who started his game, well, not all rosy at all, and it was Noah Kim. Okay, he is leading us off in the good category because overall, good night. Good night for Noah Kim. Obviously, the starting quarterback did not give up any snaps until late in the game when it was essentially over at Spartan Stadium. Shaky first half. Some Kim's fault, but plenty was not his fault at all. We had a few key drops in the first half. We had guys jogging out of routes. However, all right, this is something we talked about before the game on Saturday, is that if there's anything we are not going to overreact to, it is if either of the quarterbacks, Noah Kim or Caden Hauser, get off to slow starts or just have a meh game, because Central Michigan, they offer a good secondary over there. Group of 5 or not group of 5, that is a very talented secondary with a cornerback in Dante Kent, who will be playing on Sundays in the near future. All right, you also have 7 or 8 different receivers that you're rotating through. There's so much pressure. It's the first game, yada, yada, yada. Well, and son of a gun, what am I doing in the first and second quarter as Kim is off to a sluggish start? I'm overreacting my face off in section 16, so I apologize if I traumatize anyone's children in section 16, because I did exactly what I said I wasn't going to do. I overreacted, and then, well, look, Central Michigan, they take the lead in the second quarter. What does Noah Kim do? Drives the Spartans right down the field and just looks so cool, calm, collected, and poised that entire time. It's almost like, I mean, and this is just me hypothesizing, how his brain works. You're a little jittery, all right? You are the newly minted starter. You have a little bit of nerves on you, just trying to prove to the fan base that you are the guy. You want to spread the ball out here and there, get the guys involved early in the game. But then Central takes the lead, and maybe that switched something else in his brain. It's like, oh, crap. Who cares about everything else? We actually have a game to win. It is not a guarantee we're going to win that game. And once he just locked into the game itself, free flowing for Noah, finished the game 12 of 16 passing, actually. And to end the first half, where it was basically just him and Jaron Glover playing the game of catch out there, yeah, Kim looked very, very in control. Now, we are going to get more into this quarterback battle, but from the looks of it, the battle seems to be all but wrapped up. I mean, barring anything that happens during the season, of course. But we're going to get to that in the third segment here, because we nailed that Kim was going to be the starter. All right, that was a pretty loud secret that a lot of people knew. But wow, it's not at all how I expected it to unfold on Friday night, with just Kim being the guy. But anyway, Matt, on the ball. Come on, we got many, many other good things to get to, like the receivers. Plenty of distribution all over the field. 5 different receivers had multiple catches, but no one had more than 4. And the guy that had the most catches with 4, Jalen Berger, the running back, who I think very, very great complimentary back to Nathan Carter. But Jaron Glover, we've heard whispers, they're more like shouts actually, from the offseason of how special Jaron Glover has been. Even though the kid's just a young redshirt freshman, didn't really get a lot of opportunity last year, how well of a camp that he had, not just in the fall, but in the spring as well. And then Tyrell Henry, this is a guy that we've been championing, if I can say that word, here on this podcast. Solid in the return game, really solid in the return game. That was one of my bold predictions, is that he will have 2 return touchdowns. We didn't get those yesterday. We saw the vision for it, the agility, also just the way he sees the game unfold in front of him in the return game. But a dynamite catch, too, in the end zone, one-handed. That was an and one of touchdowns. But, man, you got to tip your cap to receiver coach Courtney Hawkins, because Keon Coleman, he's out of here. Jaden Reed, he's out of here. And now you're just stuck with, okay, well, we got some young guys, right? They're 3 stars. We don't really have any flashy 4 stars, instant impact. They're going to be dynamite guys. These guys look like 4 stars. I mean, they have been developed that much in their short amount of time here at Michigan State. And I know that we are using the smallest sample size here of 1 game against a MAC team. But some of those catches are catches that you see against Power 5 schools. A one-handed catch in the end zone is a one-handed catch in the end zone, no matter who it is against. And we're just going to fill in the rest of the offensive skill positions here with Nathan Carter, arguably the MVP of the game, 6.2 yards per carry. He also got 18 of the 31 rushes. That's something that we had our eye on going into this game, and that we will continue to see unfold throughout the season. Is, yes, we think Nathan Carter is going to be, quote-unquote, the starting running back, but what's going to be the splits with carries? And right now, 18 of 31 carries in the first game. Well, that's going to happen when you're banging out 6.2 yards per carry. Now we're going to switch sides of the field here, because I thought the defensive line played just as well as that we could have hoped. All right, on the whole game, 219 yards from Central Michigan. Before the game, we said if they can get 3.3 yards per carry or higher, that might be something to worry about. But the defensive line held them to 3.0 yards per carry, a pretty pedestrian night for Central Michigan. There were just, I believe, 3 sacks on the game, but they had Bert Emanuel running for his life on a lot of those snaps, so they had no problem piercing the offensive line over there. And yes, Jim McElwain has to have kind of like a renaissance moment with that offensive line. It has taken a dip here at CMU, but our defensive line did their job, because this is the strength of the team, right, guys? The offensive line, not necessarily the strength of Central Michigan, and it sure looked like that. And I can't think of a better play that encapsulated how great the defensive line was than 4th and goal. Very early into the game, Central Michigan's got the ball on the 5-yard line, and then Simeon Barrow it's almost like he just walked through the offensive line as if they were just turnstiles or a revolving door. It was just marvelous the entire night, and that's something that you can, knock on wood, barring any injury, of course, something you can count on, too, for the rest of the season. And this is a man that we did not talk about enough this offseason, and I have no one else to blame but myself here. But Zion Young, yeah, that's a dog right there. That is an absolute dog. Man, it's like you saw his helmet at every big play, and not just necessarily getting the tackles either, but just really pressuring the quarterback. I mean, just chasing him down like a rabid dog. It was a great performance for Zion Young. So we leave the game kind of reaffirming what we thought about this defensive line going into it, is that they can be they are the strength of this team, and that's just justified for what happened on Friday night. And then the last thing in the good category that I have right now, guys, gals, never in my life have I cried emotional tears of joy from a field goal in the second quarter of a regular season game, but Jonathan Kim did it. Just bawling my eyes out, tears streaming. Okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but man, that was a lovely sight to see in the second quarter. 47-yarder, and that's something we actually called out by name on this show. We get some things wrong here, but we get some things right. Is that all I want to see is just a 47-yard field goal attempt. Lo and behold, the football gods listen to this show apparently, and that's what we got, a 47-yarder. And guys, it was right down Main Street. It was end over end. It just looked like a beautiful kick. It didn't knuckle and wobble through the air like a drunken mosquito and completely missing the net and almost smoking someone in the tuba section. Like it, Guys, it actually looked like a good field goal kick, which, oh boy, when's the last time we can say that here in East Lansing? So Jonathan Kim, I know, again, this is the land of small sample size. One game, one field goal, but one big sigh of relief on Michigan State Spartan fans' face. Now, is he going to go 100% this year? I highly doubt that, but based on that kick, knock on wood again, I don't think it's going to be 50% for a second year in a row. Let me knock on wood again, just for good measure right there. All right, gang, we are going to be back in a hot segment. Now it is time for your game changer of the week, brought to you by Athletic Brewing Company. This week's game changer of the week, it's got to be Nathan Carter, 6.2 yards per carry. I mean, okay, I get he's not K9, but man, nice to look like that Michigan State has hit a home run in the transfer portal yet again. Athletic Brewing Company has completely changed the non-alcoholic beer game, kind of the same way Nathan Carter has changed Michigan State's run game already this season. They make non-alcoholic beers that actually taste good. They're full of flavor, well-crafted, just like a full-strength beer. We've had Athletic Brewing in this house for quite some time now. I got to tell you, you take a sip of one of those IPAs and you are having a marvelous time. And best part for me personally, you wake up the next morning with no hangover. You are ready to go because, again, it is non-alcoholic beer. You can find Athletic Brewing Company's non-alcoholic brews at a store near you or buy online at athleticbrewing.com. First-time customers can use code LOCKEDON, that's all one word, to get 15% off of your first online order. That's code LOCKEDON at checkout for 15% off at Athletic Brewing Company. Near beer, exclusions and conditions apply. Athletic Brewing Company, fit for all times. Now, I hate to do this. After a 31-7 victory, a really stress-free, for the most part, stress-free win on Friday night at Spartan Stadium, but there are some things that happen in the game on Friday night where you're saying, oh, great, more of this, or maybe it's something new and it just didn't sit right with you on Friday night, and we got some of that coming up here. And the first thing in my notes, it's two words that I've so eloquently titled, stupid stuff. God, like the 12 men on the field penalty. All right. Or how about back-to-back face masks penalty? That's nice. Or, hey, Central Michigan, 3rd and goal at the 18-yard line. There's only one team in the nation that can't get off the field on 3rd and goal at the 18-yard line, based on what I've seen the last few years. And you guessed it right, it's the Michigan State Spartans. Now, obviously, no harm, no foul because, well, A, they never scored in the first place after that. And then B, Michigan State won the game in the end convincingly. So, no, I'm not pulling out my hair completely. I'm just giving it a really nice tug to further accentuate the horrible hairline that I already have. But, man, what really drove me the most, absolute bananas. Poor Ryan Eckley, beautiful punt, just sitting right there at the 5-yard line. And Mike, like a kid playing FIFA for his first time on Xbox, just mashing all the buttons as if he accidentally slide tackled into the football to boot it out of the back of the end zone for a touchback. And again, hey, I know that wasn't Mel Tucker. I know that he wasn't the one in the shoulder pads and the helmet to run down the field and kick the ball. Or I know he's not grabbing the face mask of the other team's running back. Or I know that he's not the 12th man on the field just standing there. But tighten it up. It has to be tightened up. And how many times did we say stuff like this last year or the year before that? You know, when Michigan State was winning double-digit games. Even then, against lesser opponents, you're trying really stupid stuff out there. And eventually it's like, well, you can't sustain that throughout the entire season because every opponent isn't going to be Central Michigan. All right, we have Washington coming to town in 2 weeks. They will make you pay for dumb stuff like that. So it's got to be tightened up. And when it happens this much year over year, I'm sorry. We got to point to the CEO. We got to point to Mel Tucker. All right. I don't need the camera to be facing them and just doing the, hey, keep chopping after you couldn't get off the field on 3rd and goal at the 18-yard line. I digress. Actually, I don't digress whatsoever. I mean everything about that, what I said. The offensive line was I think it's so not necessarily bad for the offensive line, right, guys? I mean, I thought they did a pretty good job at keeping Noah Kim on his feet. Yes, Noah Kim has the live legs to extend plays, but only sacked twice. And I think that there were plenty of moments in the game where he had very comfortable pockets to throw in. I don't want to get it twisted. I'm not going to hop on this microphone and say, offensive line, trash. We are in big trouble. We talked about this before the game on Friday. Central Michigan actually has a pretty solid front, very experienced front as well. They only lost one guy from that front from last year. But this is what I'm specifically talking about right now. The 4th and 1 play calling, the 4th and 1 execution, all things 4th and 1. This is something that we talked up and down about in the offseason. There are dents in the wall upstairs from my forehead, driving it into the drywall because of Michigan State's short yardage situations last year, and we thought they shorted up. All right, Nathan Carter, he is a bulldozer of a running back, and well, pick a vehicle that's even bigger than a bulldozer. That's Jaron Mangum. Unfortunately, was unable to play yesterday. That's your short yardage specialist, but still doesn't matter. And this is where I'm going to probably start screaming if I have any voice left from yesterday. Why are we going from pistol or shotgun on 4th and 1? Make it make sense. And I know that there is rationale behind it. I know that there's a stat out there that actually says more 4th and 1s are picked up out of shotgun than they are under center. Okay, this is my old man yelling at a cloud thing. I don't care what the stats say. I don't care what the percentages say. It does not work here in East Lansing. Okay, you need a little bit better of an offensive line for the play to unfold on 4th and 1 when you're taking the shotgun snap, hand it to your running back. And I get the theory behind it. The running back gets the ball. He gets 4 yards of momentum forward and also gets to scan where the hole is. Let's just go to the traditional quarterback takes the snap, turns around, running back gets the ball with only 2 yards to go, and he's just going to pile drive his way into the line because Michigan State doesn't buy enough time for that play to unfold. We famously saw it at Michigan last year inside the 10-yard line. It took 48 days for all the blocks to get there. And by the time the running back had the ball, I mean, the Wolverines, or in yesterday's case, the Chippewas, were already there meeting Nathan Carter with a nice big bear hug to keep him short on 4th and 1. That plagued Michigan State last year. Yes, there were plenty of things that plagued Michigan State last year, but short yardage situations. You have to pick up 4th and 1s against Central Michigan, guys. You just have to. I know what I just said. Okay, I know I sound very contradictory that Central does have a good front. Okay, you also have a very experienced offensive line. You do have running backs that have already proven what they can do on the ground. This isn't like breaking in a new quarterback and new receivers. Everything in the run game should already be established. And Mel Tucker was actually asked about this after the game, and he was thrilled to answer this question. Quote, "It's late. We don't have enough time for all that, so maybe we could talk about that at another time. We didn't get those, and we may need to be able to get those." Yeah, you think you might have to pick up some 4th and 1s during the season? Anyway, we talked about that, and that's an area where we need to improve. And then also went on to say, well, maybe you should ask Jay Johnson about those decisions next time he's up here to talk. So I kind of respect that out of Mel, actually. Yeah, I think it's kind of lunacy, too. Our offensive coordinator will talk to you very shortly. You could ask him these questions, except you can't entirely get away from that because this isn't some season ticket holder doing the press conference. It's the head coach of Michigan State University. All right. Like, these plays go through your headsets. I imagine, Mel, that you are in practice while you are practicing these short yardage situations. And maybe you say, hey, this didn't work during the games last year at all. Maybe we switch something up here. I don't know. But again, this could all be remedied with Jaron Mangum. I know it's putting a lot of pressure on one player, but it's a player that has made a knack out of, just barreling his way to first downs. A few more things in the bad. Again, don't like doing this after a win, and I really don't like to talk about the hardworking student athletes that are just great representatives of Michigan State University, but this is a college sports podcast, so we have to have honest dialogue. A little underwhelmed by Malik Carr, I gotta say. Not calling the season over. Not calling him a dud. Not saying he's overrated. I'm just saying, to start the season, would have liked to see a little more. And I know that is very bizarre, coming from me, a guy that won some money on FanDuel because I bet on him to score a touchdown. And boy, howdy, was it a great touchdown grab from Malik Carr. It was awesome. And even Jalen Berger's touchdown run, he had a very nice block. Him and Evan Morris both sealing their guys off in the opposite direction. You could have driven a Mack truck through the hole that those guys formed. But it was everything else in that game. Dropping the pass right to him on the sidelines. Didn't break out of a route. And when Kim missed Carr, I was actually very upset at Kim. I was like, how do you miss that? And then I saw the replay. It's like, oh, great. We got a tight end just having a Sunday stroll through Central Park out of his route. That's good. That's how you miss it. And then I just ran the run option route at the very end of the game, was put on the bench after that. And it was such a bad read of the option route, or just the run route in general, that intentional grounding was called. A lot to be desired from his game. Like, a lot of season left. I think he's a very talented kid. We just did an episode not too long ago singing his praises. I still think it's going to be a good season for Malik, but man, a lot to be desired. And also, let's wear gloves, Malik. Okay, these receiver gloves, they help. All right, doing the no glove thing is cute and fun if you are a linebacker. Someone on defense, someone that doesn't need to catch the ball. But receiver gloves are such a cheat code. I mean, it is like showing up to a steak dinner and not using any of the knives or the silverware during the meal. Like, you are just making life exponentially harder on yourself from saying no to this very easy tool. God, that's like just probably another old man take that I will just scream into the clouds. Like, just wear receiver gloves. Anyway, hey, we won. I got to remind myself of that. One more thing in the bad. And this might just be bad optics here. We're actually going to get to that here in a hot segment. First, I just need to talk your ear off about FanDuel Sportsbook. Hey, just talked about FanDuel. All right, I had a nice little no-sweat bet of Utah money line, Minnesota money line, and then to end my parlay, a Malik Carr touchdown. Thank you, Mr. No Gloves, for that touchdown catch. I raked it in with FanDuel, and you can too. Get ready for the upcoming NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads, player props, touchdown scores. Go across games with it too. Their same game parlay plus is dynamite at FanDuel. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and rake in those $200 in bonus bets. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season with an offer you will not want to miss. It's FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. And we're going to switch to the random part. And this is also teetering on the bad, because what happened with Alante Brown right at the jump of the game, he was laying a block on someone, or that's what we'll call it. He was laying a block on someone. We've seen it time and time again in football, especially with the heightened awareness for concussions and everything, and knowing what we know about how bodies react to certain blows. He locked up and went into what they call the fencing pose, which usually means that you're certainly missing the rest of this game, and probably should be missing, I assume, the other game. Again, I'm the furthest thing from a neurosurgeon. I should not be commenting on this, but hey, here I am. What am I going to do? Just not speculate, but it was a horrible look optically. All right. Carted off the field, back in 45 minutes on the field returning kicks. I think so. Look, I don't want to get like too overreactionary or anything, and I know that's rich coming from me, but someone has some explaining to do about how that works, how a guy can get carted off of the field with an apparent head injury after going into the fencing pose, and then is back into the game later on, but then is seen in street clothes later on in the game too. Something isn't adding up there. I would hate to accuse anyone of something malicious, but wow, just optically, I did not love seeing that. I also don't love seeing this. This is also part of the bad / the random. I'm not sure how much playing time Stanton Rommel is going to get this year, but if you didn't see it, I guess I should preface it with this. He is out for the season. He had surgery on his knee, sustained an injury in the offseason. So he tweeted that, I think, a day or two before kickoff. So Stanton Rommel, 4-star offensive tackle, done for the year. And I don't think he was going to play a ton this year, but there's no way around it. That absolutely sucks. Getting your first year of development, growth, just getting used to college football, the day in and day out work of practice in the weight room, kaput, done, over immediately. And I'm hearing that Alex Van Sumeren might be missing extended time as well, guys. We do get these reports before the game, who's questionable, who's out, and yeah, so that was not good as well. And speaking of out, Terry Roberts just out as well. No injury. He's out of the program. I might be wrong. I don't remember seeing that ever before a game to start the season. that, hey, that cornerback that you got who also transferred to Miami in the offseason before he actually changed his mind and transferred to you guys, turns out he's not going to play for either of you guys because he's out. And if you want to count that towards the Locked On Spartans jinx, by all means necessary, go ahead, because 2 days before kickoff, we talked with Chase Glasser of Spartans Illustrated. And we talked about Terry Roberts for quite a bit because, well, Chase did a profile piece on him, a lot of questions about the quarterback position. And we're thinking, hey, yeah, Terry Roberts can actually add something here. And no, he can't because he is not going to be on the team this year. Now, we're going to make this episode full circle a little bit. I do want to talk about the quarterback battle. And I've been gloating up and down this episode. I'm sorry, I hate to do this, but this is what you do when you finally get to watch a game after talking about this team for weeks on end. There are some things we did get right on this show, guys, and I'm very, very happy about that. Like Nathan Carter being an instant impact. Okay, no doy. A lot of people got that one right. Or no reason that CMU should get more than 3.3 yards per carry. All right, or that Jaron Glover could have a big start to his season. Now, that Tyrell Henry might be good in the return game. We even got the under for this game correctly as well. Boy, did we get something wrong, though. As loud as we celebrate our wins here at Locked On Spartans, we call out our errors here because I am still floored right now that the quarterback battle went the way it did, and not in the sense that I can't believe Noah Kim won. That's not at all what we are talking about. We thought that he was going to win that battle. I just thought this thing would bleed into week 3. I really thought that Kaden Hauser was going to get some reps in the first half, or if not the first half, maybe it's a, hey, you get the first half, you get the second half sort of thing. And I guess you can make sense of it if it was like, oh yeah, we're just going to ride the hot hand, but that's not at all what happened. I mean, Kim started a little shaky. Again, not all his fault. His receivers didn't do him any favors in the first half as well, but he did start 1 of 5 passing on 3rd down in the game. And, the boo birds were out and people were clamoring to see where's the 4-star Kaden Hauser? Is he going to get his shot at all? But no, it was Kim squarely in the driver's seat. And after the game, Mel Tucker said pretty much, no, it's not an ongoing battle. Kim has won the starting job. So I'm surprised because everything that we heard in the offseason from people in the know off the record or even in front of the media on the record as well, very neck and neck. I mean, guys really changing who was better in the scrimmages, drill to drill, all that fun stuff. But also just from the politics play, too. I mean, Noah Kim, Mark D'Antonio era holdover. Kaden Hauser, you all know his story. 4-star player, Elite 11 kid, the first guy that they brought into this program in the Mel Tucker era to play some quarterback here at Michigan State, or at least build to play it. Nice. So it is surprising to me that it did go the way it did, and then Kaden Hauser gets in at the end of the game. Should have been an interception on his one pass. I'm not going to hold that too much against him, though. I mean, late in the game, you're playing with your second, if not, there was some 3rd-string lineman, I believe, but still, I just trying to do too much with one throw, and it almost turned into as bad of a one throw as you could possibly have it. So for a small sample size, yeah, we saw why Kim is the starter there, but yeah, wow. I'm sorry if I led you guys astray. I really thought that we would be seeing something here against Central and Richmond that would be kind of an open competition in front of our eyes. Not the case whatsoever. Just some other random things, too, I just want to mention. Very fortunate enough to be at Spartan Stadium on Friday. Love the atmosphere. It's awesome. There's nothing better than a sold-out Spartan Stadium, just getting back together with your green and white family. I love what they tried to do before, I think it was the 4th quarter, the whole light show and everything, and then they play swag surfing. For you old folk that don't know what that song is, it's a pretty hype song. Go ahead and cue that up on Spotify next time you're on there. We need a different speaker system at Michigan State because when swag surfing plays and the light show's going on, I need my organs to vibrate while that song is playing. I need fluid to come out of my ears when that song is playing. It could not have been quieter. It is as if someone in Section 1 was just playing swag surfing on their phone and holding it up. Almost there on the execution, guys. Let's get an actual speaker system or someone just turn up the volume on the sun. Anyway, I said this is going to be random. We are getting random here. We're going to step away from East Lansing, too, because Thursday night beforehand, I feel a little better about Michigan State's season. Thanks to watching the game, our Spartans were not even a part of because Nebraska went to Minnesota. Nebraska went full Nebraska. Minnesota, who has a lot of question marks going into the season. Guys, they equally looked as terrible as one another. Nebraska, okay, yeah, that's not a shock here, right? I mean, Matt Rule has a big undertaking in rebuilding that program. He has Jeff Sims as his quarterback, a guy that committed to Georgia Tech to play quarterback in the triple option. So his quarterback is a guy who essentially started his career signing up for a school in order to not throw the football a lot. And then Minnesota's quarterback, he looked like he was just skipping rocks all day out there. And I'm not stupid. I know that teams are going to be different by the time our Spartans play them. But wow, I was leaning loss against Minnesota before the season. I was leaning win against Nebraska because that's a home game too to start the season. After that, man, you have to beat the Golden Gophers after everything I saw there. Nebraska, especially at home, that shouldn't be a lean win. That should squarely be in the win column here. So, and the last random thing I have too, we'll comment on other games as well, is the Michigan Wolverines starting the game, lining up and putting the number 4 fingers in the air as a sign of tribute to Jim Harbaugh. I clearly have missed a headline because I thought Jim was suspended on a self-imposed punishment for lying about recruiting violations during COVID. That's what I thought was happening. I didn't know that he was in the hospital because he had burn marks on his entire body after saving puppies from a dog shelter. Maybe he died, diverting an airplane that was hijacked into a whatever I missed, because clearly I missed something, because that is incredibly bizarre behavior to victimize yourself and then act like your coach is some victim, even though it's your school that had the self-imposed punishment for something that he did. I don't know. It seemed like seemed a little extreme over there, so clearly I'm missing something. Oh, well, that's just what they do over there in Ann Arbor. Until next time, guys, hey, you know where to find us. Locked on Spartans. If you want to reach out, lockedonspartans@gmail.com, Sheehan_sports on Twitter. We will be back. Full slate of shows this week leading up to kickoff against the Spiders. Till next time, love you all. Go Green.